Patrick, okay, great. I'm going to share my screen briefly. Are we live, Patrick?
Yes, we all the time live.
All right, excellent. So we can start slowly, although we have 1 minute more, or actually we're exactly on time. A very warm welcome back to everyone. We have now the second, and I believe the coolest panel of the World Forum for Ethics in Businesses conference on changing paradigms in a pandemic world. And that is our student panel. You know, I have to say that I so respect and admire these students, because while WFEB announced this advertisement and advertised this competition all over the globe, we actually got entries only from these 12 students. And when I was sent all of these, or I got access to all of these entries, my first thought was only 12 entries? And I was like, maybe we should cancel the competition. No, and then I was like, no, I should see what has come in. And as I watched one video after the other, I was watching these videos at 11 in the night. I felt my energy rising. I felt so inspired that I was up for the next 2 hours doing other stuff. So these are the students who are taking this pandemic not as a problem, but as a challenge. And they have found simple hacks that are accessible to everybody around the globe to use and not just survive, but thrive through this pandemic. And to acknowledge what they are doing, I was so delighted when just a few days ago, I had a telephone call with Professor B.N Gangadhar, who, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, is the president of the National Medical Commission of India. He's one of the foremost experts from, he was previously the director of NIMHANS, which is the top mental health institution in India. And I spoke to him, you will not believe it, just yesterday night. And he is so amazing that he agreed, despite his very busy schedule during this this World Health Day today, he agreed at the drop of a pin to give a keynote address to our students. So Professor Gangadhar, I'm so grateful that you are here. And thank you so much for inspiring and encouraging not just our student panel, but students from all over the globe who are watching. And for sure, your words will be inspiring for them all. Over to you, Professor Gangadhar.
Thank you, Mridalini. I believe you are in Germany, so I should say Guten Abend, because it's 7:30 here. Once again, greetings on the World Health Day. When we define health, there's no health without mental health. So it is very appropriate that you thought stress should be an issue which we need to talk about. Resilience is something that we need to build. Trying times though, trying times of COVID, bothering us beyond 1 year and even more, and no respite at the end. In this context, I have to make a few important announcements. This talk will be very short. I guess there is a series of very enthusiastic students who are going to be presenting, and you're going to be moderating those things. I don't want to come in the way of their enthusiasm to share what they have prepared. And of course, my talk, it's going to be very brief. Having said that, the COVID pandemic, while it has thrown a lot of challenges, it also has brought a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities when I say, one, I wouldn't have perhaps believed that I would be addressing so many international meetings, and many international meetings at the drop of the hat. 10 minutes, 1 hour notice, 1 day notice, 2 day notice. You could never imagine participating in an international meeting. We are now connected. We're connected more closely than what we were before COVID. World is coming together. World is coming together not merely by way of technology, but also by way of emotions, by way of compassion. There is some way in which we are all getting connected. It reminds me of a college student, teenager, engineering student whom I met. Had been to their house because her father was my own friend, just went to pay a visit. I didn't know that she was a yoga enthusiast. I saw photos of several gurus, Sri Ravi Shankar, Baba Ramdev, many yoga postures in their living room. I knew my friend wouldn't have any interest in yoga. So I asked him, what made you get attracted to all these yoga postures, yoga gurus, philosophy, etc., etc. So he told me, to my surprise, that it was all his daughter's creation. And what was his daughter? An engineering student, perhaps was in her teens, later part of the teens. I could never imagine a teenager getting attracted to yoga and these things. I was even more inquisitive. I wanted to talk to her, his daughter, wanted to know why, what made her attracted to yoga. So I asked her, why are you attracted to yoga? I thought as a teenager, there are many other worldly things that you would be attracted to. There are so many other preoccupations, but yoga attracted you. What made you get yourself attracted to yoga? You know what she said, which is a research question that I developed over the last 10 years, perhaps. She said, Uncle, I feel I am connected. I feel connected. I wondered why she used the word connected amongst all other experiences of yoga. She could have said, I feel relaxed, I feel lively, my mood is better, and so on and so forth. But she used the right word, I feel connected. I asked her, what does it mean? What does she mean by connected? She said, I feel connected with those people who are doing yoga with me. I continue to do yoga. I feel connected with my family members. I established better ties. I became more much closer to my family members. I feel connected to my classmates in the college and school. I feel connected to those people who are walking around with me on the streets. I don't feel alone. I feel more confident. I feel more secure. I feel more lively because they're all with me. And doctor, with this feeling of connection, feeling of being connected, growing and growing, yoga makes that connected world, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We say it. I was shocked. This was not a Baba Ramdev or Sri Ravi Shankar or Sadhguru whom I am listening to. She is an ordinary worldly teenager who was able to speak so much in a rich fashion about yoga. And what changed her? According to her, what changed was that practice of yoga changed her outlook. I feel more secure. I feel more lively. I feel not alone. I feel I am with people and we are together. So this experience of connectedness, which yoga induced, made me actually very curious because I am being a psychiatrist, treating people with various illnesses and using yoga for various conditions. I never looked at this property of yoga, this property of inducing this feeling of connectedness. And I knew what it means to be connected. Today, we all want to remain connected. And that's precisely what is helping the entire world to get out of this stress of pandemic. We know everybody else is suffering. We're all sharing things. We're all coming together. We exchange our thoughts, and this connectedness has made life totally different. And so, this connectedness is a experience that yoga induces. And how does that happen? And as I went on into this research of connectedness and yoga, it brought me to the very world of yoga. The meaning of yoga itself is to connect, yuj, that comes from the root word which blends, it connects. And in Sanskrit, there is a popular saying, Samyoga Yoga Ityukto Jivatma Paramatmanaha. Yoga is what that connects my personal consciousness to that of the cosmic consciousness. This entire transcendence that the yoga produces, connecting my personal consciousness with that cosmic consciousness, is what is yoga. Yoga is ought to be done for that purpose of spiritual transcendence. It's a spiritual lifestyle. But while my personal consciousness is getting connected to that cosmic consciousness, I'm sure en route, it should also be connecting to the other neighboring consciousness. And that is precisely what this girl experienced as I feel connected. That connected is not just an abstract word that yoga would induce, but I think connectedness is that experience that it is coming in as you are practicing yoga. And at some point of time, this connected would expand and expand, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and then beyond that Vasudha, that beyond that universe, to that cosmic consciousness. So connectedness is happening, a transcendence is evolving, is being unfolded in us as we are practicing yoga. And the initial parts of the connectedness is that development of compassion to each other, ability to see myself in others' shoes, ability to see me in others. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu ya pashyati sa panditaha. I'm able to see myself in everybody. So I mean, I'm able to understand everybody. I'm able to empathize with everybody. I'm able to connect with everyone. So this feeling of compassion, feeling of connectedness is something that yoga induces, and that is rightly experienced by this girl, and that is rightly what is the traditional texts of yoga describe, and that is rightly the way in which we all feel more secured, feel connected, and feel able to overcome these issues and build that resilience in us, that we have, of course, people with us, people others who are going to be with me in these trying situations. And very quickly, 2-3 observations about the biology of this compassion, biology of connectedness that the yoga induces. 2-3 observations I have to make here, and probably I'll stop. This feeling of connectedness, feeling of ability to emote with other people that yoga induces has been found very helpful in treating a condition what we call as schizophrenia, where the person actually goes away from the society, goes away from the people, secludes himself, is not able to emote. Emotionally, he is very shallow. This individual, while is also given medicines to be treated, but remains in this negative state of being shallow affect situation. To make him practice yoga along with the medicines that you are giving, this shallowness improves. He becomes more warm, is able to emote with family members, is able to connect, and he is able to actually get himself integrated with the society as he was an usual person. In fact, one of the a mother of a patient who had schizophrenia for long years, she came and told me after several months of practicing of yoga, in addition to, of course, the medicine that he took, a 15-year illness that he was going through, doctor, you gave back my son to me. I asked her, what do you mean by you gave back my son to me? She explained that he's now more warm, he's with me, He brought the same sweet that I used to like during my birthdays. He brought the same dress, which color which I like, and so on. So he emotes well. He mixes with me. So this change which happens following yoga is one very important thing, which we were able to demonstrate and use it helpfully in treating a condition. Second, practice of yoga, a session or a series of sessions actually increased one of the chemicals in the body called as oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone which actually makes me feel connected, makes me feel well, makes me feel good when a dear one hugs me. In fact, it is also called as a cuddling hormone. So this hormone is elevated when you practice yoga. And in fact, in conditions schizophrenia, which we were treating for using yoga, oxytocin levels are lower, and one actually gives nasal oxygen to get this social cognition improvements in schizophrenia individuals. To practice yoga, this effect of connectedness improves by way of increasing of the oxytocin hormone. Yoga not only connects individuals, connects the psyche of within the individual, and we know that this is also brought about by this hormone. We also examined a network in the brain, resting network, using the resting state functional magnetic resonance imaging. Following practice of yoga, there is a network called as the default mode network. The coherence of the network went on to get better while he was continuing to practice yoga. And this getting better in terms of this coherence was also related to the degree to which his negative symptoms actually dropped. So here we are talking about yoga. It gets you a feeling of connectedness, a feeling of security, a feeling that you're all together, you're not alone. And this actually is the experience that is required for us to tide over the current condition of a global panic caused by this pandemic. And I urge again that yoga practices, whatever may be the schools of thought, induce this feeling of connectedness. And then there is a biological basis for this, which actually is facilitated to get your brain be prepared to overcome the current stress. I once again appeal to each one of you to follow any one form of the yoga, asanas, pranayamas, breathing techniques, meditation, and a host of them. There are so many schools of yoga. Mind you, that all schools lead to the same transcendence, same spiritual transformation that we ought to obtain and to make our life more healthy and stronger to be able to face the current situation. Thanks, Mralini, for calling me over and sharing some of these observations. I wish the students session all the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's amazing to listen to you and how much depth you have in both sides, yoga as well as more modern approaches to managing difficult mental health situations. And since yoga comes from our homeland, India, it's wonderful to hear a scientist of your esteem talk at such technical scientific level about it. And thank you so much once again for encouraging the students with your presence here. And we hope you can stay and hear some of them speak.
I'll have to log off because I have another meeting scheduled.
Yes, I understand. Thank you so much for being here.
Good luck.
Thank you. So coming to our wonderful students, you know, it was, I don't know if you've seen the movie, The Princess Diaries. In that, I love that movie, and the dialogue there that has been kind of like a mantra in my life is that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the realization that there is something more important than my fear. And that is what I have seen in all of these young students who have sent their entries in for the Pandemic Hacks competition, that they have recognized that their small experience of how they have handled this pandemic can make a difference to millions of viewers who are watching us today. So without much delay, I would like to jump in and hand over to our first student speaker, Akshita. She is a first-year student of one of India's premier law schools, National Law Institute University, and she likes to describe herself as a little girl who is trying to find her place in this world. Akshita.
Greetings to everyone. I'm Akshita Srivastav and I'm first year student at the National Law Institute University. Well, I'm a person who basically likes to pre-plan everything, and it annoys me the most when things go opposite to my plan. And 2020 was the year of uncertainty, the year when everything went downhill. The law entrance exam, which I was opting for, got postponed 4 times, which was just abundant to cause someone anxiety. I am personally very passionate about law. So a wave of peculiar thoughts intruded my mental space. Thoughts like, what if I can never make it to my dream university? What will I do in that situation are the prime ones. These thoughts interrupted my preparations too. So to avoid these thoughts, I tried various things. I tried meditation, I tried talking to my friends, but unfortunately, it didn't resolve anything. So I decided to open the crate of my hobbies, which essentially has 4 things: writing, painting, photography, and Sudoku. Then I introspected and I found out that whenever something has bothered me, I've always taken recourse to writing. But little did I know that writing will become my pandemic hack. This time, when I took recourse to writing, I found out that I have felt a tinge of tranquility in my soul, something which I have never felt before. That was the moment when I became sure that it is my pandemic hack. Initially, I wrote down all my raw feelings, but everyone likes creativity, right? So I started formulating poetic verses. My feelings, including my friends and my families, became a catalyst in increasing my creative drive. My friends encouraged me to put out my work on social media. And when I did, I found out that many people relate to it, which made me understand that I'm not alone in these challenging times. But besides proving therapeutic, it was a major change in my perspective, the way I view things now. It made me learn how to find beauty in everything around me, be it a table or a chair or even a glass of water. It made me understand that even if I don't have any friend, I won't be lost. I have something very precious, the future for my life. Well, this doesn't undermine the value of friends, but it makes me feel little less scared about being alone. Plus, it gave me courage to try out new things, which maybe I was too afraid to before. And most importantly, it made me wonder that I don't have to wander to be happy. I can be happy in my own space. Consequently, my law entrance exam went well, but I'm still applying my pandemic hack to get over some of the anxieties. Well, I've heard in a TED talk few days back that you should know when to shut your mouth, and I think it's time I should shut my mouth. Thank you so much.
That itself was extremely creative. Wonderful, Akshita. Thank you so much for sharing your pandemic hack with us. Though I would like to go after this. By the way, we will also have a chance to ask our panelists questions at the end. But first, I would like to go over to our second student speaker, Matthias. Matthias is a PhD student at the Technical University of Munich's Department of Aerospace and Geodesy. So he's quite a cool person who roams beyond the surface of the earth. But his hobbies are literature and music. And I think he is slowly also developing an interest in the very complex topic of ethics. Over to you, Matthias.
Thank you very much, Nandini, for your nice introduction. Hello to everyone. I'm very happy that I can present to you my very own pandemic hack, which I call dancing against Corona. And before I start, I would like to show you a photo. It was taken approximately 1 year ago, and it shows my hometown, basically. It's a very small town near Lake Constance, South Germany. And usually the street is packed with people. There's life everywhere and a lot of small businesses and cafes and shops and so on and so on. But yeah, the pandemic changed everything. So we need lockdowns and curfews to protect each other. And yeah, it's depressing. it's depressing. So to tackle this issue of depression and do something against the curfew loneliness, my girlfriend and I discovered a method to overcome this. We basically put all our favorite songs together into a playlist and turned the volume up, turned the disco lights on, and started to dance in our apartment. And it was so much fun, even for non-dancing persons like me. I am one of these guys who is in the corner of the room and just watching other people dancing, but it's super fun and you're moving around very wildly, and you tackle also the issue of inactivity. And I think the brain is releasing endorphins because of the dancing and your favorite music, and it also increased your neural activity. And yeah, it's super fun, it's super easy. You don't need a schedule. You can do it on Monday morning, on Wednesday evening, on Saturday morning, whenever you feel like to do this. Turn the volume up and dance, but don't annoy the neighbors, of course. You can also use your headphones. But you can also upgrade the dancing. You can also invite your friends with, let's say, your favorite video call platform like Zoom or Teams or whatever, and invite your friends. You can share a playlist with your favorite music and make a dance party online with your friends. So maybe you don't feel so alone again. And yeah, that was my pandemic hack. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Matthias. What I loved about that hack was that it is so accessible. It doesn't matter where in the world we are, what culture we are from, dance and music is common. So even if you don't have a boombox at home, you can still sing and dance together. And it is such an accessible way to, as Matthias said, increase your endorphins while also keeping away any kind of depression. Thank you, Matthias. Going sorry, Maya. Maya is a bachelor student from UNC Charlotte. She's one of the leaders of Sky Campus there. And she, in her free time, enjoys cooking, learning languages, and fighting for peace. Over to you, Maya.
Hi, everyone. So 1 year ago, I was depressed and suicidal because I was serving the community while disregarding my basic needs, such as getting enough sleep, eating wholesome food, and drinking enough water to have a better, fruitful life. After my dad attempted suicide for the second time, I am grateful that so many people helped me seek resources to get help. I was unable to do what I needed to do for myself to live a good life. I was pulled in so many directions to help my parents. I needed to get away and help myself. I made that choice to make my mental health and well-being a priority, my self-care. That's how I got to my hack. Being grounded and grateful made me appreciate everything and everyone. Even when my dad attempted suicide twice and my mom died 2 months ago, I continue to remind myself why I am grateful and wrote 3 reasons why in my gratitude journal. This is it. Every single day. And especially on my worst days, I would always remind myself, wow, I'm grateful to have a roof over my head. Wow, I am grateful to have clean water. Wow, I'm grateful for my breath. Today, I feel centered, powerful, and grateful for this life I am able to live. In all of the challenges that I have faced and continue to face, my gratitude journal has been helping me grow into the leader I aspire to be.
Thank you so much, Maya, for sharing your life and yourself. And I'm sure it will help many who are watching. And to see your resilience despite what you have gone through is an inspiration. It's really, really wonderful. And I hope that together with you, others can also join and seek that help in managing ourselves before then going ahead and managing our societies, our communities, our families. Thank you so much. Going on to our next speaker, we have Melissa. Melissa is a pharmacy student at Heinrich Heine University in Düsseldorf. She spends a lot of time with art and painting in her free time. And today she has a very constructive and useful hack for us.
Thank you, Nani. As a student who lives by herself in a student dorm, I felt very left out and isolated during the lockdowns. Only a few weeks into the pandemic, I've lost all sense of community that used to be there on the campus.
Melissa, you might need to check your audio because we can't really hear you. There's some disturbance. Should we go on to the next speaker and come back?
We move to the next.
Yeah, then we come back to Melissa. Our next speaker is Nirvani. Nirvani is our youngest panelist today. She is an 11th grade high school student from USA, and in her free time, she loves making films and to sing. Over to you, Nirvani.
Hello, everyone. So today I will be sharing my personal pandemic hack, which is meditation. So a little bit about why I started meditating. So when the pandemic first hit, I noticed three main things that started to build up inside of me. The first was anxiety. I've previously dealt with anxiety, but it started to build up, especially being isolated, alone, and not having anyone to talk to. The next was procrastination. Being a student and learning online, it's really easy to put off assignments and do them the day they're due. And this was hurting me since I was more stressed and the quality of my work was quite poor. And lastly, distractions. Moving into an online world, as I said, was difficult, and you're exposed to many distractions which are right at your fingertips, like social media. So after dealing with these problems, I decided I needed to turn to something that would help me and make myself a better person. And I was inspired by people who were around me who were also meditating, so I decided to start. So I followed 4 easy steps in order to implement meditation into my routine. The first was that I physically hand wrote it into my routine. So even if I forgot to do it, I would have a written reminder. The next was making it my priority. I would do it first thing in the morning so that right when I woke up, I would sit down and meditate. The next was creating a time block. I set aside 20 minutes of my day only to focus on that specific task, which was meditation. And lastly, I created a personal space just for meditation. This was probably the most important thing that I implemented. I allowed my brain to relate the space with the task, which allowed me to relax in that specific space, which I allocated just for meditation. So now you may ask, why did I continue to practice meditation? So I saw 4 major positive impacts on myself. The first was that I saw decrease in anxiety. The next was that I saw increased focus. As I said, I was getting distracted and I did not have my priorities straight. So meditation really helped me focus on the task, which was at hand. Next was priorities. I was able to prioritize the things I loved doing rather than the things that I did not really want to pay attention to. And lastly, I saw an overall increase in energy, which allowed me to be both efficient and productive, which boosted my mood and my overall happiness. So I'm beyond grateful for this opportunity and that I chose to meditate regularly so I can talk to you about it and hopefully inspire you to do the same. Thank you all.
It's so wonderful, Nirvani. So you're also not just an artist, but also very structured in your approach to explaining your hack. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And yes, we've heard a lot about meditation today, and it's wonderful that you actually have implemented that at such a young age. I know that my parents introduced me to meditation when I was 11, but it was only much, much later that I finally got down to practicing it. But it's wonderful that you have that discipline to implement it now. That's great. Thank you so much. Next, we have Philip Rossman. He's a PhD student from the University of Nuremberg. He performs and teaches improvisation theater, is part of the campus gardening crew, and is a lively salsa dancer. He also loves cooking. And he is, most interestingly, a very active sky breath meditation teacher in Germany, and even during the pandemic was teaching several workshops. Over to you, Philip.
Thank you very much, Nalini, for this kind introduction. So today I want to share how sharing itself impacted my life. So my headline is Sharing a Win-Win Situation. So as many others may felt in this lockdown, when suddenly everything was put on hold, I was feeling alone. I had nobody really around me. I had no physical contact. I was really feeling powerless. And in this time, there was one quote which inspired me. It was that in great darkness, even a small light can lead the path. And I was thinking that, yes, maybe I cannot do much because just I'm here locked in my place, but maybe a little light I can be. And maybe you heard the saying that a little light can lit up 1,000 other candles. So for this approach, it was first my own practice, as Nalini already introduced. So I did my practice as I already did before, and I felt more connected. And with this connection, I started first to go to our theater group, and we said, we now do theater online. It's improvisation theater, so there's no text before, there's nothing. You just get one word and a little game, and then you just go ahead. And nobody thought this would be possible. We sat down and we found a way how to bring this online. And till now, we practice every week, and we have such a great fun. In the beginning, we used to dance in the beginning of the session just to lift up the energy. And the second thing, from this self-practice and feeling of connectiveness, connection, the next step was to share this knowledge. And I really felt that sharing this and also sharing the joy which came out of the meditation and practices, breathwork practice, that it affected others, and I felt empowered. I did not feel alone and powerless. I felt strong. Now was really the time where I felt that we are a big group and we all together will cope this situation. And from this feeling, I understood that actually sharing, giving out, it is as powerful, sometimes even more powerful for yourself, to lift up your own energy. And I brought some memories I collected in the last year. So we have in the theater group, a lot of little courses where you could share. And at the bottom, there's a little picture of my office, let's say, I don't know how to say it, where from this spot on, I was connected through the whole world. And it really felt amazing to do that and to do this little part. So thank you very much for listening. And I hope to inspire some of you to start sharing and go out in the world, because a little light can definitely make a difference.
Very inspiring, Philip. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we think we can now go right back to Melissa.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your patience. So I'll just dive in right away. As a student who lives by herself in a student dorm, I felt very left out and isolated during the lockdowns. Only a few weeks into the pandemic, and I've lost all sense of community that I used to have at the campus. And while I was alone and reaching out to social media to regain that feeling, I developed a habit, like many others, to read through endless discussions and comment sections on social media and news forums. Waking up in the morning, the first thing I wanted to do was checking out my notifications and then going right to online trends to find out what people were talking about the most today. It temporarily gave me the feeling of being connected, and it somehow became addicting, especially during the first lockdown. But consuming all this uncontrolled and huge amount of information and news caused me personally a lot of anxiety and was very agitating, especially because the majority of the content I was consuming was made of news about very negative and heartbreaking and also very fear-inducing events that were happening around the world. And at the same time, spreading awareness and educating oneself is something that is so unbelievably important to my generation. And social media is the tool that is used for this cause. But on the other hand, social media also greatly feeds into the fear of missing out that a lot of us suffer from. At one point, I've reached a day where my own screen time was on average 13 hours per day. And that was the point where I told myself I need to stop. So I made a cut and I told myself over and over again, if there is a cause and if I want to stay up to date on global issues, it's enough for me to just make a list of my chosen topics that I care about the most and then consciously check on them once a week. After that, just leave the news to be. I stayed away from all kinds of news, no global news, no regional news, and no entertainment news for 7 days. And after that week, I asked myself again, do I ever want to be that immersed in it like I used to? And my answer was 100% no. Because by taking a step back, I was able to become aware of how negative news make the rounds faster online. So the majority of the stuff I was consuming and reading about was negative. And it was one of the main distractions and stress factors that always worked against my favor when all I wanted to do was creating a happier life experience. And since I've implemented this more mindful and controlled use of the internet and of social media, I was able to have a positive outlook on my life and on the world in a way easier manner. And when you reach that point where it's easy for you to have a positive outlook on life, it is also easier to spread it with the people around you, not only in person, but also online. It was, for me, the perfect middle of staying up to date on issues that I care about and also protecting my own mental health from too much negative information. And having a good, healthy distance to these kind of news will have a huge impact on your daily life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing that experience. Yes, it's very true. No, if we put too much attention or our sole attention only on what's not right, then our mind tends to also feel that there's nothing right. So that healthy balance is very important. Thank you for sharing that tip and that very important hack with us. We go ahead now to Pihu Gupta. She is a master's student at Sri Sri University. She is an amazingly talented girl. She is an amateur drummer, a brilliant artist, a fashion designer, and a skilled swimmer. Moreover, she teaches underprivileged children with Teach for India and the Art of Living. And she has a very, very amazing hack for us. Over to you, Pihu.
Thank you, Mrinalini. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
So I want to start with asking few questions, and I'll include myself while responding. Raise your hands if ever in your life you have skipped classes just to avoid the bullies you thought you didn't have the courage to stand up to. If you have judged yourself for doing certain things that you're not proud of just to make others like you back. If you have cried yourself to sleep over a breakup and still not woken up feeling worthy of someone. If you have felt abandoned as a child because you watched your parents fail at their marriage every day. Now I want you to take that hand and pat yourselves for being courageous enough to endure this pain. These scars that no one can see hold stories of survival. These scars make us human beings with imperfections, and they make us special. When we go through a lot of pain, we become more empathetic. We understand better what the others are going through. This has become my strength, now bringing in a bigger responsibility to help people around me. In my university, I mentor a few students in my batch with whom I interact on a daily basis. They're shy and do not open up easily, and therefore often struggle with anxiety or stress over academic performance or personal problems on their own without having a non judgmental friend to look up to. I have managed to be their constant online buddy, always reaching out to them and giving them moral support and confidence. I give them the gift of time. My only objective is that what they should feel is positive and hopeful after they talk to me. I think that universities can start this online buddy system where they handpick such volunteers who could take care of at least 5 students as a tribe. Through individual sessions, buddies would be able to identify the red flags where universities can then intervene and handle the situation through counseling or wellness workshops for students who are at higher risk. Through group sessions, he could help in creating a fostering community in the isolated crisis. Was being a buddy to my tribe a hack I came up with? Not when I first tried it. It was an instinct. Many a time when I have been in a limbo in my life, sometimes floating, sometimes drowning, I waited and prayed for a hand to pull me out, or an ear to just be heard. I knew the pandemic did that for a lot of my batchmates, even more so than usual. So being a buddy was about being that hand or that ear when they needed one. I have learned how to bring myself back to the center again and again through meditations and the spiritual knowledge that I have been blessed with these past few years. So this was my way of giving back when what I was given when I was mentally and emotionally not okay. And when I heard people, even after a few minutes of conversing with them, listening and guiding them, telling me that they were glad I was there for them or requesting me just to hang around, stay a little bit longer with them, I knew I found a purpose. And this is my pandemic hack. And if I volunteer without knowing the consequences or the effect it could bring to 6, 7 friends of mine that I actually mentored, imagine the impact a university can bring by getting a group of volunteers like that across all the batches, across all faculties and classes. Thank you.
Thank you, Pihu. That's amazing. Every drop makes an ocean, and definitely that's a great thing that you're doing for your peers. So amazing, and keep up the good work. And thank you for that very valuable suggestion, very practical suggestion for universities. Now we have our last, but definitely not the least speaker, Surbhi Haridranathan. She is a bachelor student at the University of California, Santa Cruz. She's studying molecular biology and music theory, an interesting combination. She's also a performing artist and is also an active member of the Art of Living Foundation in the US. Over to you, Surbhi.
Thank you so much, Nalini. So rewinding back to about March of 2020, as soon as there was a shelter in place, I was honestly thrilled with the unexpected free time that I now had. But as days went by, weeks, then months, it seemed without end. I would find myself struggling without being able to interact with anyone. Solitude seemed empty rather than soul-satisfying. Additionally, I'm a performer, and without live rehearsals, the radiating energy of the audience, and the contentment of simply experiencing the stage brought upon an eerie sense of self-doubt. However, I found a hidden blessing within this time, as it revealed to me the power of music and mindfulness. Immersing myself within music evolved into something that became such a strong vehicle for positivity and inner strength. I realized that performing was just one aspect of it, but there was this sense of outpouring joy that I discovered, spending hours every day simply being one with the music, allowing the notes to nudge my mind, the rhythm to resonate within my soul. And tied to the moment, music has been a conduit for mindfulness, and dedicating just a small part every morning, no matter what, to consciously focus on my mind, my breath, and simply be grateful for everything has been my armor during this time. With each breath in, the conscious recognition of the gift of breath, and with each exhale, the promise of creating a better world for all, it was steadying and preparing in one movement. And creating these two techniques with me throughout my journey has been the most magical blessing, allowing myself to not only embrace this time, but to also help me truly understand who I really am, with such a rare pause in the fast-paced world we live in. Sure, there's still a wanderlust aching, but the lesson of living in the moment rather than for the next is something that I really needed. I cannot encourage you enough as this time is coming to a close. Spend some part of the day to do something for you and for others. Come back to your very nature of being happy and content. Talk to someone that gives you that inner strength. Go for a stroll in your neighborhood and smile at the stranger walking past you. Spend a few minutes consciously breathing. We are not alone. We must really teach everyone to spread the value of cultivating resilience, a healthy mind, and an unshakable level of positivity that can radiate to every single person. It's such an honor to be speaking with all of you today, and in this time, I'm reminded that we choose how we change our lives and others. So let your inner music flow with each breath. Let your mind meditate on that which feeds your soul. Let's make a positive difference. Thank you.
That was just absolutely beautiful, Surbhi. Thank you so much for sharing that and for sharing that so beautifully. I must say, I am, however, I think experiencing what might be called Zoom fatigue because I skipped one of our speakers. So I would like to hand over now to Ramya. Ramya is an amazing PhD student from RWTH Aachen University in Germany. Her hobbies include learning languages. She's already fluent at 5 Indian languages and German. And she's also very into handicrafts. So over to you, Ramya.
Thank you, very kind of you. And I really hope my simple hack also helps a few here. So what I did is socially reconnecting with new people. But before I go to my hack, I want to tell you that I had to first pull the brakes and first notice what were the thoughts and emotions that I were going through. There is immense guilt, especially when looking at really young, energetic, and multi-skilled youngsters portraying their impeccable skills online. I went into this feeling like, why am I not that? Why don't I do that? I have all the things that I can make that. There's a lot of guilt that there is there. And there's also self-blame that why am I like this? I'm not productive, I'm not a high achieving person. And there's also self-victimization, like, oh, okay, maybe this happened in the past and that's why I'm like this, poor me. And okay, it's okay. Maybe I'm just not meant to be. And this is real time, and there's a feeling like this is never ending. And then slowly I realized that this is a chain reaction. Like, it starts from one place and it goes on, and it keeps coming in circles. This led to some kind of understanding or accepting my personality that, okay, so this is the canvas that I'm made of. So I have to know that what to do with this canvas to have a painting. So I have a destructive personality, especially with online content, with so much social media and online content pouring and pouring in. It's easy to simply avoid reality and real life with thrilling and amazing music and so much which emotion jerking things. And all these online content is energy draining. mostly mental energy. Physical energy, forget about it. We are not spending so much physical energy nowadays sitting in front of Zoom calls. But mental energy and emotional energy is just drain and drain and drain. And whenever I try to do something to fight against this, trust me, I've tried all of the things that all these students have told: meditation, painting, handicrafts, writing a lot, but I couldn't keep up with it. There was lack of consistency. So that's when I told myself, okay, if I'm getting influenced, if I am a person who can be easily influenced, I am going to be influenced by the right kind of people and content. Trust me, when I say about the lack of consistency, I want to show you my own YouTube consumption. From a good 8-hour consumption on a good weekend, this was more thrilling, like down to 7 minutes a day. And even the second week was even more thrilling, from less than 5 hours a day to about half an hour. But how do I keep it below that for a long time? This was not thrilling anymore to look at this graph each week. So it went back to square one again. So now comes my hack. I had to reconnect with social groups. At the start of the pandemic, everybody started to reconnect with their cousins, with their friends, with their old contacts. I also did the same, but many faded off and some stayed. I also spoke to a student psychotherapist, like, hey, I am going through a lot of online content and I'm trying to avoid real life because real life is boring and online is thrilling. Apart from connecting with people whom I knew, I also wanted to connect with new people. Now that I wanted to make as a thrilling element of my real life. So I joined this program called B.Buddy program. And this was meant for new students to settle down in the city. I was not a new student, but I still simply enrolled myself. And to the buddy who got assigned to me, I told her, I'm not a new student. I'm just looking for some kind of socializing and new opportunities. About a month later, she came to me saying, hey, look, there is this project called Europa Machschule from the German government. You can participate in it. That was interesting. Basically, I had to simply talk to 8th grade students and introduce them to my culture as a form of international exposure. And the emojis that they sent over Zoom was my form of positivity and fulfillment and appreciation. Apart from this, I also connected with friends of friends. I'm wrapping it up. And that helps me keep each other accountable and also use fear of missing out to keep myself in discipline. Lastly, I want to conclude that I want to tell you that this is not like I have conquered it and I'm past it. It is a real-time struggle. And this is my YouTube consumption for this past month, including this week. So this is an ongoing work in progress. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Ramya, for that very scientific and structured presentation. So that's the end of our student panels. And if you would join me to give a big hand to these student leaders for having taken time. I know many of you are in the middle of PhD deadlines, exams going on right now. And still you have found the time, the energy to not just come here, but to come here so well prepared with such amazing hacks and such practical tips for us all. Thank you all. If you have any questions for our wonderful panelists, you can send them to me or to the question basket, and I will read them. I'm getting comments from everywhere saying that the student speakers are amazing, they are excellent, we are inspired, this is so cool. I don't know what all comments I've already gotten. So that's most of the inputs that I'm getting right now. There is one question that says how to deal with tension and stress that comes generally, even if you practice your daily meditation and stress reduction practices. Who would like to answer that?
Yeah. I've also been through that. And what I did was just share to people. Like, I'm going through this. And when someone else says, oh, okay, just talk about it. And when I let it out of my mouth, it was also less pressure in my head.
That's wonderful. Yes. Can we also highlight Melissa because she is not spotlighted? If it's possible, I don't know.
No, we have only this
Don't
many
spotlight.
people we can spotlight.
So you don't need to spotlight me. She should be spotlighted. More important. Thank you. Yes, that's a great tip, Ramya. No? That you just call somebody and talk to them. That's an age-old hack. No, there are also every other hack that has been discussed today. No, that when one doesn't work, you can go to the next. And, you know, one thing I can say from experience that the problem with always wanting to be happy or always wanting to be stress-free is the always. No, in life, we will go through up and down. There will be, that's just the nature of the mind. No? And if we cannot accept that, no, it was very amazing. I was doing a workshop actually with Annalise a few months ago. And she said, that is resilience. Are you able to take the opposites that life throws at you? Are you able to embrace them both equally and say, yes, this is both sides, whether it be comfort or discomfort, sadness or happiness, they are a part of life. And if you can face them and treat them equally, then that is what resilience is. Now, anybody can smile when it's an easy time. But if you can dance your way through like Matthias did, or sing your way through, or help others on your way through, manage your own mind, then that shows your resilience and that shows your leadership. So amazing. So we have time up and it looks like there is no other question for the students. They're all just highly inspired, just as I had expected. Should we end with just 2 minutes of dancing to some music? Maybe everybody in the panel, we can all get on our feet. We've been sitting for so long, and I'm going to play for you guys something. Okay, I hope you can hear this. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. We all stand up. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. Hot air balloon that could go to space. Actually, you need to stand up too. Care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Come along if you everyone turn on your cameras and dance. Because I'm happy. Come along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news talking this and that. Give me all you got, don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Come along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Come along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high.
happiness into you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy.
Thanks to our tech hosts, Sakshi and our wonderful Patrick. Thank you.
Bring me down, the love is too high. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is.
In-house expert dancer, Matthias.
If you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy.
Okay, thank you. Amazing. You all write one word in the chat on how the session was for you. Please do share, and also if there's any questions that you would like to ask, you can ask in chat. I will look forward to our speakers, to the students after the session. We do have a valedictory session with more very high-level dignitaries, influencers from all over the world. And our tech team will share that link in the chat now, where you can jump into the valedictory session if you so prefer. We will also live stream it right here on this Zoom link. So if you'd like to stay here, you're also welcome to stay here. I would like to thank all our panelists, our expert panelists from the university panel, all of our wonderful student panelists, and last but not the least, Professor Gangadhar, for taking time out for us despite his incredibly busy schedule. Thank you so much, all of you, for making this panel such a success. And I'm still getting messages from everywhere as to how inspiring all of you were. And keep up the energy, keep inspiring. And we will share this video on various social media platforms so that others can also draw inspiration from all of you.